Some people collect things. I collect mornings. The first light on a mountain no one else will see today. A street greeting in a language I cannot speak. The silence before the wave. And the roar right after it. We are told the world is small now. Map, photograph, finish. It is not. It is still out there, waiting just to pass the edge of the crowd. And every single time I leave, I came back as someone slightly new. This is not a list of places. This is what they did to me. More than 40 countries, thousands of photographs, hundreds of cities, countless stories, and yet only 5 places truly earn a spot on this list. If you are planning your next big trip, you are about to save yourself a lot of wasted money because most of the destinations everyone talks about didn't make the cut. I've been traveling since I was a small child. My father was a truck driver, and whenever he had the chance, he would take me with him on the road. Those early years shaped everything about how I see the world today. But once I started school, the long trip stopped. My father switched jobs, my life became a routine, and my window to explore closed for many years. That window didn't open again until I left home, finished my studies, and started my professional career. And then, whenever I changed jobs, I would take 2 or 3 months off, not to rest, but to travel. Those gaps between careers become the most valuable chapters of my life. There is one principle I follow every single time I pack my bags. I avoid crowds. I don't stand in long lines at famous tourist hotspots, and I refuse to chase places just because everyone else chasing them. Don't get me wrong, when I visit those places I'm a tourist too, but I visit them outside of the peak season. Trust me on this. A famous location in November feels like a completely different world compared to August. Quieter, moodier, and usually more honest. For me, travel is freedom. It's meeting locals, learning small pieces of a new language, tasting food I cannot pronounce, and pointing my camera at things I've never seen before. But enough about me, and let's get into the list. Number 5 is one of the easiest escapes from Central Europe. Finland. It's only a short flight away, and honestly a road trip up through the Baltics is completely doable as well. That accessibility is part of what makes it so special. You can leave home in the morning and be standing in a silent northern forest by the evening. I went in late September, which is probably the most underrated travel window this entire country has. The locals call this season Ruska. The few short weeks when the whole landscape turns gold, copper, and deep red before winter takes over. Autumn in Finland is something else entirely. And then there are the reindeer. Everywhere. When I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. There are roughly 200,000 reindeer in Finland, most of them semi-wild and herded by the Sami, the only indigenous people recognized within the European Union. In the far north, the reindeer generally outnumber the people. Forest stretches to the horizon in every direction. Around 75% of Finland is covered in forest, which makes it the most forested country in all of Europe. And then there is the water. Finland has over 188,000 lakes. That is not a typo. You are never more than a short walk from one, which is exactly why this place earned its nickname the Land of a Thousand Lakes. And the thousands turn out to be a massive understatement. Hiding inside those forests is something that still gives me chills today. The brown bear, the largest predator on the European continent and the national animal of Finland. I sat inside a small wooden hide near the eastern border for hours, barely breathing, and then it appeared right at the edge of the tree line. Seeing one live in the wild is an experience I will never forget. Here is something most people don't know about this country. Finland has been named the happiest country in the world year after year, and once you spend real time here, you begin to understand exactly why. There are around 3 million saunas, for a population of just 5.5 million people, almost one sauna for every single household. Well-being is not a trend here, it's built directly into the culture. Late September still hands you long daylight hours to explore, but once the sun drops, the real magic begins, the northern lights. Finland sits deep inside the aurora zone. In the Finnish Lapland, the sky comes alive in more than 200 night years. Standing under that shifting green glow for the first time changed something in me. Finland is the easy escape that rewards everyone willing to go off-season. My number 4 pick goes to France, but not because of Paris and not because of Côte d'Azur. France has genuinely beautiful regions like Burgundy, which I have already made a full video about. It's very close to my heart. But the reason France earned a place this high on my list is sitting on the complete opposite side of the planet, French Polynesia. Most people don't even realize this is France, but it is a French overseas territory scattered across the South Pacific, and the scale is almost impossible to comprehend. French Polynesia is made up of 118 islands grouped into 5 archipelagos, spread across an area of ocean roughly the size of all of Europe. Everyone knows Bora Bora. Almost nobody talks about the island where the real magic actually happens. Last year I was lucky enough to spend 3 full weeks across 6 different islands, and I am still not over it. Hurricane fascinated me first. Untouched nature, raw originality, warm people, and the underwater world that doesn't look real. It also holds some of the oldest Polynesian archaeological sites ever discovered, ancient stone temples called moorea, more than 1,000 of years old. From there we moved to Moorea, and Moorea looks like was ripped straight out of Jurassic Park. Jagged green spires rising out of a turquoise lagoon. The dramatic skyline is actually the eroded rim of a long-collapsed volcanic caldera. There is generally no other view like it in anywhere on Earth. Then come to the atolls, Rangiroa and Tikehau. Rangiroa is the second largest atoll in the entire world, and its lagoon is so vast that the whole island of Tahiti could fit inside it. The diving there is on another level. Sharks, manta ray and dolphins gilding through some of the clearest water I've ever seen. Tikehau is something called the pink sand island, because crushed coral tints the beaches a soft rose color. And here is a fact that genuinely surprised me. The overwater bungalow, the icon of every honeymoon brochure on the planet, was actually invented right here in French Polynesia back in 1967. This is the exact place where the entire concept was born. Falling asleep above the water with reef sharks drifting slightly beneath the floor is something everyone should experience at least once in their life. It was without any exaggeration the most expensive trip of my entire life, and I regretted nothing. Every single euro was worth it. If you ever get the chance to go, don't hesitate for a second. You will not regret it. Number 3 is the only country on this entire list that is not in Europe. From Switzerland, it is a roughly 15 hours flight. That's a lot, and it's absolutely, completely worth it. Vietnam. I traveled this country the way it truly deserved to be traveled, from the very far north all the way down to the south. Vietnam stretches over 3,200 kilometers of coastline, and crossing it from top to bottom feels like visiting 3 different countries inside a single trip. The north, the center, and the south each have their own food, their own dialect, and their own personality. Along the way, I deliberately mixed the famous must-see spots with the places almost nobody talks about, and it was the off-the-radar stops that left the deepest mark on me. Here's the perfect example. Everybody books Halong Bay. We went to Trang An instead. Trang An is a UNESCO World Heritage Site near Ninh Binh, often called the Halong Bay on land. Local rovers guide our little boat through a chain of low caves, some so tight that you have to duck your head, and many of them row the boat using their feet. It's every bit as breathtaking as Halong Bay, but with only a tiny fraction of the crowds. That is exactly the trait I am always looking for. The journey south only gets better. Hoi An, the old trading part glowing with thousands of silk lanterns after dark, still has a Japanese covered bridge that has stood for more than 400 years. And the Mekong Delta in the south, the green, watery rice bowl that feeds a huge part of the entire country. And then there is the food. In my honest opinion, Asian cuisine is one of the best food on the planet, and Vietnamese cuisine sits right at the very top of that list. Pho, banh mi, bun ca, fresh spring rolls, every single bite tells a story. One thing most travelers don't know, Vietnam is the second largest coffee exporter in the entire world, and the egg coffee, a sweet and creamy invention from Hanoi, is one of the great secrets of Southeast Asia. Surreal landscapes, fascinating architecture, unforgettable food, and some of the warmest people I've ever met. If a long-haul flight doesn't scare you, consider this your sign. Number 2 is a country I return to again and again, Portugal. Lisbon is absolutely a stunning city, and the entire region around it's fantastic. But if I'm being completely honest, Porto and the north are where my heart truly lives. A small fact most people don't know, Porto is a city that actually gave the whole country its name. The old Roman settlement here was called Portus Cale, and over the centuries that single name stretched out cover all of Portugal. Just upriver lies the Douro Valley, the oldest democratic wine region on the entire planet, officially mapped out back in 1756, where port wine has been produced on those steep terraced hillsides for hundreds of years. But the real reason Portugal sits high on my list is not the mainland at all, it's the islands. Last year over Christmas and New Year, we are on Ilha das Flores in the Azores. Flores is the westernmost point of all of Europe, sitting directly on the top of the mid-Atlantic ridge, the exact line where two tectonic plates are slowly tearing apart. The island is named after its flowers, and the nature there is completely untouched, wild and dramatic, waterfalls pouring off green cliffs in every direction you look. The Azores as a whole are nice volcanic islands, and one of the best whale watching destinations in the world. And then there is my absolute favorite place in all of Portugal, Madeira. Here is something that generally surprised most people. Madeira sits about 1,000 kilometers southwest of mainland Portugal, which actually places it geographically closer to Africa than to Europe. The island was completely uninhabited when Portuguese sailors first landed there in 1419. Today it is a living paradise. They call it the floating garden of the Atlantic, and the name fits perfectly. Subtropical forest, towering volcanic cliffs, and the ancient laurel forest so rare and so old that it's protected as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. A living survivor from the time before the Ice Age. Threaded through to the entire island are the levadas, a network of hand-built irrigation channels that stretches over 2,000 kilometers, originally carved to carry water across the mountains, and now some of the most beautiful hiking trails I've ever walked. The climates reward you no matter which month you arrive. The 2 weeks I spent on the island left a mark on me that I will carry forever. If you even slightly enjoy subtropical nature, Madeira is non-negotiable. And here we are, my number 1, Iceland. Back in 2019, I had the entire trip booked and paid for. The COVID hit and crushed the whole plan. I had to cancel everything, so I waited 3 more years. In 2022, I finally landed in Reykjavik, and nothing in my life has ever lived up to a dream the way Iceland did. I knew before I even arrived that it was going to be something special, but I never once imagined it would land this far above every destination on Earth. Let me give you a sense of the scale. Iceland has roughly 375,000 people living on a landmass about the size of Portugal. That means empty roads, empty valleys and empty black sand beaches that stretch on forever. The country sits directly on the mid-Atlantic ridge, where the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates are slowly pulling apart at a place called Silfra. Inside Thingvellir National Park, you can actually snorkel through crystal clear water in the gap between 2 continents. It has more than 130 volcanoes, around 30 of them still active. This is truly a land of fire and ice. And the ice is not just figure of speech. Glaciers cover roughly 11% of the entire country, including Vatnajökull, the largest, one of the greenest nations on the planet, the largest glacier in Europe by volume. Almost all of Iceland's electricity and heating comes from geothermal and hydroelectric power, which makes it one of the greenest nations on the planet. And here is a strange little fact I love. Iceland is one of the only countries on Earth with no mosquitoes at all. The landscape itself is impossible to put in words. I spent 3 full weeks there, and I was discovering new waterfalls, new mountains, and the lava fields every single day. The country has more than 10,000 waterfalls, and even after 3 weeks, I still wanted more. I finally got to see the puffin, my favorite bird on Earth. Iceland hosts somewhere around 60% of the entire world population of Atlantic puffins. And watching them launch off the cliff's edge and tumble toward the sea is a memory I will carry for the rest of my life. The weather changed every 5 minutes. Sun, wind, rain, snow, and the sun again. Sometimes all of it inside a single hour. And I loved every second of it. Cold, soaking, wind blow. None of it mattered for even a moment. Iceland is without any question or hesitation the most beautiful country I've ever set foot in. It is so far ahead of every other destination that it honestly deserves a category entirely of its own. I'm going back. I wanted to experience every single season on that island. Traveling is freedom. Learning about other cultures, meeting people from completely different backgrounds, and seeing how they live makes you more flexible in every area of your own life. Learning languages makes you even more flexible. Even a handful of words in the local tongue change everything. A simple hello or thank you opens doors, softens conversations, and makes every trip easier. And when I get to combine traveling with my greatest passion, photography and video, my dopamine level is at its absolute peak. Come along on the next journey. Leave a like if this list gives you something. Follow the channel so you don't miss what is coming next. Thank you for watching, see you soon, peace.